this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect if you're coming to Economy Garages to fill one of our positions and showing up for an interview. The first thing that's going to happen, please feel comfortable coming in the front door, walking to our front desk and explain why you're here. Everything will be prepared, so they'll be expecting you, and they'll hand you some paperwork and lead you into the conference room where you have the opportunity to fill out some paperwork before we get started with an interview.
Hello, I'm
Hi.
here for an interview.
Here's some paperwork for you to fill out if you just want to go in the conference room over there. Jamie will be with you in a minute.
Thank you.
Once we are in the conference room and the paperwork is done, then I'll come in, I'll meet you, and go over some standard paperwork that I like to go over during an interview. Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hi Jamie, nice to meet you.
Yes, and you are here for the building crew interview, correct?
Correct.
Very good. A lot of that includes going over your employment application. That application gives me a lot of information about your work history. Is any of it in the field that we're looking for? Not that that is a requirement, because even in our building crews, we actually train them from the beginning. So that is not a requirement. However, it gives me some lead-ins to some conversation and to find out exactly what you're looking for. I go over the employment history. I go over some previous experience that you have, looking for information, to me anyway, that you are interested in the field you are applying for. And part of that conversation is also, do you understand what you are applying for? Because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't realize what a building crew member is versus an excavation member or a yard member. So we'll go over that to make sure that you are applying for the job you thought you were applying for. So we'll go over a lot of the information on the application, so I am better informed on where you're coming from and where you're looking to go. After that, I follow that up with some standard interview questions I like to ask. This kind of opens things up for conversation. I give you some specifics, and the way those are answered helps me understand, again, where you're coming from, what you're looking for, and how you react in certain situations. That helps me during the interview process to direct the interview on which direction we're going to go. When they placed you into the conference room, the first thing they did is sat you down and gave you some paperwork to fill out prior to the interview, as I mentioned. At this point, I would actually go over some of that information, and not that it's graded, but I let them understand what I am looking for by filling out that information. Then I take the time to explain in depth the position that is being applied for, so the applicant, you, would be very clear on the job details. I do that to, again, make sure that not only is the applicant a good fit for the company, but the company is a good fit for the applicant. It's a two-way street. And if it's not a two-way street, you should be looking for another company to work for, because you have to be happy with what you're doing. And talking about that two-way street, not only will we tell you what happened at the interview, if for instance you go to another interview and you decided to take that position, you thought that was better for your fit for you, there's nothing wrong with that. It is the polite and responsible thing to do. Just simply give us a call. Tell us that you decided to accept another position, and that is the end of it. And I would wish you well at your decision, and that would be the end. So after I go over that paperwork, then I go into some final details, and that also include our company paid benefit package. So I make it very clear the benefits that working with and for Economy Garages, what they entitle you to as far as the benefits go. That is covered in detail, and make absolutely sure there's no questions, so I can answer everything right up front. We talk about the pay scale for the job being applied for, and I tell the individual what to expect from this point forward. Am I early in the interview process for this position? Is it right towards the end? And when to expect any information. That information may be that, well, what I tell most people is either expect a phone call asking for more information or possibly setting up a second interview, possibly a phone call offering a job position, or expect U.S. Postal Service with a letter stating we appreciate your interest in the company, but we have decided at this point to go a different direction. But you will find out what happens at any of our interviews, and we don't leave people hanging wondering what happened. From there, you will get this piece of information. I usually give out the benefits package because I do not expect somebody to understand and remember all the numbers. And we do have a very good benefit package. So it is a full page. Don't want to remember all that, so that goes home with the individual. We give out some information, our mission statement about the company, information about our buildings, and why we're better in code in 2 different states, in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So with that information, I tell them what to expect. I allow them an opportunity to ask me any questions, because as I said before, it's a fit that the company has to fit the individual as the individual has to fit the company. So I leave it wide open for questioning, so all of those questions can be answered at this point. They actually go home with this folder. This folder gives them more information about the company along with the information that they will have. And a card, my card. So if there's any questions coming up, they leave here and say, oh, I forgot to ask this. Or let's say, for instance, they went to another interview and said, boy, we didn't talk about that. Feel free to give me a call. I will answer anything. Again, it has to be a fit both ways. And that's really what happens during an interview. And there's multiple positions in Economy Garages, and keep your eyes peeled on our website and you can see which ones are open.